Can I really imagine what the Earth looked like to the very first humans? Imagine opening your eyes hundreds of thousands of years ago. You expect to see the same planet you know today, but instead everything feels strangely unfamiliar. There are no cities, no roads, no farms, no lights on the horizon after sunset. The only sounds come from the wind sweeping across endless grasslands, rivers carving through untouched valleys, birds calling from ancient forests, and distant predators reminding you that every day is a fight for survival. For the first humans, this wasn't an adventure or a journey into the unknown. This was simply home. If I were standing beside one of them, I think the first thing that would surprise me wouldn't be another person. It would be the incredible silence. Modern Earth is constantly filled with engines, airplanes, electricity, and billions of people. Ancient Earth belonged almost entirely to nature. Every sound had meaning because it could lead to food or warn of danger. Every footprint, every broken branch, every distant roar mattered. But the landscape itself would be even more shocking. Huge ice sheets covered much of North America and Northern Europe. Some glaciers stretched for thousands of kilometers and were over 3 kilometers thick, so heavy that they actually pushed the Earth's crust downward. Because so much water was trapped inside these giant ice masses, sea levels were over 100 meters lower than today. If you stood on many modern beaches, you wouldn't even see the coastline you know now. Instead, enormous plains stretched far into the distance where oceans exist today. Entire valleys, rivers, and forests now hidden beneath the sea were once places where humans hunted and animals migrated. One of the greatest examples was Beringia, the massive land bridge connecting Asia and North America. There were no ships and no explorers crossing an ocean. Families simply followed herds across open land, generation after generation, without realizing they were walking into an entirely new continent. Britain was still connected to mainland Europe. Many islands around Southeast Asia formed continuous land, and coastlines around the world looked completely different from modern maps. Yet despite these differences, the continents themselves were already close to the positions we recognize today. Climate shaped nearly everything. Earth repeatedly shifted between colder glacial periods and warmer interglacial periods. Forests expanded and disappeared. Vast grasslands replaced woodlands before forests slowly returned. Entire ecosystems moved across continents as temperatures changed. Regions that are cold today were once warmer, while other places became frozen wilderness. Perhaps the greatest surprise would be the Sahara Desert. Today, it is the largest hot desert on Earth, but several times during human history, it transformed into a green paradise. Small changes in Earth's orbit caused monsoon rains to move farther north. Instead of endless sand dunes, there were lakes, rivers, grasslands, and forests. Hippos swam through freshwater lakes, crocodiles hunted in rivers, elephants, giraffes, antelope, and countless other animals roamed an environment that would be almost impossible to imagine if you visited the Sahara today. Ancient rock paintings discovered across the region even show these animals, proving that this incredible transformation really happened. The skies themselves would also look different. Without modern pollution or artificial lights, the Milky Way stretched brightly across the night sky. Thousands upon thousands of stars were visible every clear evening. Our ancestors probably knew the movements of the stars far better than most people living in cities today, because the night sky guided travel, hunting, and the changing seasons. But perhaps nothing would leave a greater impression than the animals. The Earth was home to extraordinary megafauna. Woolly mammoths wandered across frozen plains. Woolly rhinoceroses grazed nearby. Giant bison formed enormous herds stretching toward the horizon. In the Americas, giant ground sloths, several meters tall, slowly climbed trees despite weighing several tons. Massive short-faced bears stood taller than modern basketball players when standing upright. Giant deer carried antlers reaching nearly 4 meters across. Saber-toothed cats, cave lions, dire wolves, and other predators hunted these enormous herbivores. Humans were far from the top of the food chain. They survived because of teamwork, intelligence, and adaptability rather than physical strength alone. Every successful hunt required careful planning. Every mistake could be fatal. There were no hospitals, no medicine, no rescue teams waiting nearby. Reading nature became a survival skill. Early humans learned to recognize fresh footprints, understand the direction of the wind, identify edible plants, predict animal migrations, and notice even the smallest changes in their surroundings. They understood nature with an accuracy that few people possess today. The plants around them also looked different. During colder periods, giant grasslands, known as the mammoth steppe, stretched across Europe and Asia, supporting huge grazing animals. In warmer regions, dense forests covered landscapes untouched by roads or agriculture. Rivers flowed freely without dams, creating wetlands filled with birds, fish, insects, and countless species that supported entire ecosystems. Nature functioned almost entirely without human interference. Volcanoes were still actively shaping the landscape. Earthquakes occasionally transformed valleys. Rivers changed course over centuries. Coastlines slowly shifted as glaciers advanced and retreated. The planet was constantly changing, although these changes happened slowly enough that generations of humans simply adapted to them. One fascinating fact is that the oxygen level, atmosphere, gravity, and length of the day were already almost identical to today. The sun rose every morning, just as it does now. The moon still controlled the tides. Mountains slowly rose while rivers carved valleys. Although the world appeared dramatically different, it was already unmistakably Earth. Scientists have managed to reconstruct much of this forgotten world using fossils, ancient pollen trapped inside sediments, ice cores from Greenland and Antarctica, preserved bones, cave paintings, archaeological discoveries, and even ancient DNA extracted from fossils. Each discovery reveals another small piece of the world our ancestors once called home. While we may never know exactly what every valley or forest looked like, we now understand that early humans lived on a planet far wilder, quieter, and more unpredictable than anything most of us will ever experience. Looking back at that ancient Earth reminds us that our planet has never been static. Continents, climates, animals, and ecosystems have always changed, and humanity has survived because it learned to adapt alongside them. In many ways, the greatest achievement of the first humans wasn't conquering nature, but learning to become part of it. Every city we live in today, every road we drive on, and every civilization we have built ultimately began with small groups of people standing beneath an untouched sky, surrounded by giant animals, endless wilderness, and a world waiting to be explored. We are still living on exactly the same planet they once walked across. The difference is that we are only seeing the newest chapter of an unimaginably long story. So if you had the chance to spend just one day on the Earth of the first humans, would you explore the Green Sahara, cross the frozen Mammoth Plains, or wander through untouched forests that no modern human has ever seen? Let me know in the comments. And if you enjoy exploring Earth's forgotten past, don't forget to subscribe for more incredible science and history adventures.